Sponsored by Greta Thunberg. Really? Welcome to Lot 76 Cars. My name's Simon, and this week we're at the Silverstone Festival 2023. So this, I've had to check, I was flummoxed a bit by this one. It's a Maserati Mexico, built from I think 66 to the early 70s. It's a 4-seater Grand Tour, some lovely styling features. Somebody's just reminded me that the front lights have got a bit of a hint of Renault 16, but some fantastic features on this car in this emerald green with a green interior. Oh, I do like it. But let's have a closer look at this. Very usable Grand Tourer, some lovely features, beautiful interior. But look at some of the styling features here, how it's got that stepped up section in the bodywork just there, just in line with the rear window. I can imagine forming some of these panels must have been a job for the hand, really. Handmade. Fabulous car. Don't see too many of those. So back in 1990, 17,700 quid would have got you one of these on my Mercedes 190. I can see why you might have gone for the Cavalier. It's a GSI 2016 valve, and what a car. This one is pretty rare these days. Alternatively, if we step back a generation, for rally fans, we've got a Chevette HS, not the later HSR, but this is the HS. 2.3 litre engine in a Chevette, or shove it to some people. Got those evocative stripes on the side. It's lovely, isn't it? What a car. What a car. I'd have one of those in a heartbeat. So this is the Ford Escort 1700T Group B rally car. Now, because of the demise of Group B through a series of accidents, the Group B series was brought to a stop prematurely, and the car really didn't have the opportunity to compete. It's geared just for 123 miles an hour, because obviously it's geared for rallying rather than racing. Incredibly well prepared, this one. Let's have a shot inside. See obviously the timing gear, the cage and the fire extinguisher. Yeah, that's a rare car. You're not going to see too many of those these days, are you? Now this is a lovely, lovely looking car. I love the way that the body narrows towards the back. It's a really, really taut looking coupe, usable coupe from Maserati, and it's a Maserati Indie. So to me, much more attractive than some of the efforts of the period. And didn't they do a great job with this car? Look at that sort of back window sort of maybe influenced Alfa GTV. It's got a bit of a shape of Alfa GTV in the side window. And look how the body narrows in towards the back. I don't know if you can pick that up here on camera. What a pretty, pretty, pretty car, isn't it? So rare to see one of these as well. Cavalier Mark III, but a later facelifted car. And the SRI, the one we all wanted when we were only smoking around in an L, or a GLF we were extra special. Fabulous condition. K must be towards the back end of production. What's that, 93 on a K plater? Lovely. It's got those all important SRI badges, as the Vauxhall advertising of the day said. The eyes have it when they injected their in their cars, and having an eye on your car at the back was something to behold in the company car park, wasn't it? Now here's a collection of Calibras, a very, very aerodynamic car. I think one of the most aerodynamic production cars ever made. Probably still holds that title. Designed by Wayne Cherry on the Cavalier, I think on the Cavalier 3 platform. Certainly becoming more and more collectible. I think these are pretty cars. I mean, even back in the day they were attractive looking cars. Let's try and have a closer look at that blue one inside. Plenty of room in these. Benefits of being based on the Cavalier platform. Recognisably Cavalier Mark III dash, as you can see. Decent amount of room in the back, and the attractive coupe body Isn't that an attractive car? And I think probably starting to get appreciated a little bit now as well. Another car built for Group B rallying was this Ford RS200. I think these have got about 250 horsepower, which doesn't sound like much these days. This is a road-going version of the car. They had to build so many for homologation. As you can see that it's pretty set up for competition, even though it's a road-going. Look at that typical sort of Ford type dash. Don't recognise the dash out of anything, but Ford type plastics of the period. Certainly I recognise those door cards, look like Mondeo or something, don't they? Or maybe Escort. Obviously the important bits going on back here. Let's get in and have a closer look at it. The driver's got that, you've got that access or that window through the back, although it clearly doesn't open. Oh, helpfully we've got a big old full-size spare wheel, which I suppose is something, isn't it? What an absolutely fabulous car. Now, they built these in low hundreds, and there are probably about 20 of these here today at Silverstone, so great to see them. So MG Rover replaced the MGF in later days with this late MG TF. They changed the styling at the front. They dropped the hydrogas suspension and went back to coils. Some people say these don't ride as well as the hydrogas cars, which I can understand. This one's got sort of like a special monogram paint finish here. Is it green? Is it yellow? Is it gold? Well, it depends where you look from, but nevertheless, it's a pretty looking car, certainly distinctive today. Designed by a Harrisman who sadly passed away. Is the Austin Princess. This is a Princess 2. Bore a number of badges. I think Austin, Morris, and even for a short time Wolseley. Succeeded by the Ambassador, which brought the tailgate for some obscure reason. British Leyland decided they'd launch the car without the tailgate and made up for this in later life. Fabulous to see that here today. Great typical 70s colour, isn't it? Isn't that lovely? Maybe these will be appreciated one day, who knows? Maybe. Sold by BMC under a multitude of brands, is the AD016, and for several years the best-selling car in Britain, and in actual fact replaced by the Austin Allegro. Can you believe it? Very sort of vanilla car, did what it said on the tin, good ride quality, good passenger space, and I guess that's why it shone through and sold in large numbers. If you want a rally car of the period, look no further than a Lancia Stratos. We've got plenty of Lancia Strati here. Pretty much all of these, I guess, are evocations rather than original cars. I may be wrong, but it's so difficult to tell. And almost every livery here are fantastic, aren't they? What great cars they were. So they only built about 8,000 of these, and there are 85 supposedly left in the UK. Yes, it's the BMW Z1. I think it's got a composite body on it. Of course, it's party piece of those doors. So there's with the doors fully up. And let's have a look at this one. And we've got a better look at the interior where the doors are down. And you've got a stunning interior. All of them sold as left-hand drive. No right-hand drives were engineered. Obviously, typical looking BMW switchgear of the period. And that's stunning in the Oxford green, could that be, I guess? And here we've got another red one with the doors down, and that's also a stunner, isn't it? Back in 1970, $3,128, I'm reliably informed, would have got you this Mark II Mustang, so successor to the original pony car. Some very interesting features on this car. Look at the vents in the front there. That shark nose. Imported from South Carolina, I believe, and in stunning order as well. Wow, that's a beauty, isn't it? From the early turbo era, BMW managed to squeeze another 40 brake horsepower to add to 130 for its TI model 2002 Ti with this turbo. I think they built maybe only about 16 or 1700 units. Wasn't massively successful back in the day. A lovely looking car, isn't it? And in fact there's two of them here. There can only be very limited numbers, I guess, in the UK, can't there? Lovely collection of BMWs. The TII with the Kugelfischer, I think, mechanical fuel injection, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. but I'm particularly drawn to this E21 3 Series, the BMWs of the day. This was the one to have. It was the bit tail happy, the 323i. What a lovely look, that lovely shark nose front. Really start to get some power, and sold as one of the ultimate driver's machines. And you can imagine back in what, 1980, that probably was one of the quickest small sports saloons out there. Wow. Now recycling's all the craze, and we wouldn't have it any other way. So if you want to recycle your Z3, you could make your own BMW. Yes, wait for it, it's a BMW Bertini. So as you can see, recognise that centre section from the Z3. They've changed the rear lights on the car, and the Bertini has those sharper angles. They look like they've been stolen from a 928 Porsche. I could be wrong. Interesting that you can adapt your Z3. I've got mixed views about that one. I'm not quite sure whether to leave your Z3 as standard, but nevertheless interesting to see both of them here today. So the owner uses this Volvo 240 GL Estate every single day. No wonder he's managed to clock up 360,000 miles. Wow. Pretty rare in this specification is the Volvo T5R, particularly in this fabulous yellow colour. These have absolutely shot up in value. Looking at period road tests, they weren't massively much faster than the T5, but with lowered suspension and the styling pack, don't they look the business? Fabulous, isn't it? What a car. So this really is a rare one. It's the 262C, designed by Volvo. It's the coupe version of the 6-cylinder 200 series cars. Designed by Volvo, but actually built by Bertoni. Now this one's super unusual because it's right-hand drive. I've never seen a right-hand drive one of these. 2.7 litre engine. That really unusual design. They basically stuck a coupe style top half on the vehicle. Wow. That is incredibly rare, especially if it is a UK car, as it indicates. So actually designed by Citron's chief designer Robert Opron, but built as a result of the relationship with Maserati. Citron bought Maserati in 1968 and fitted the Maserati V6 quad cam engine, 2.6, 2.7 litres. These must have seemed like cars of the future. They're absolute spaceships, aren't they? You know, I guess somebody would say under the bonnet is a plumbing nightmare. My God, I wouldn't even know where to start. That engine's set quite way back, isn't it? Quite way back towards the bulkhead. But just look at them, aren't they absolute stunners? Oh, that's great car, isn't it? It also shares a lot of the components with a Maserati Mexico underneath. They don't look like it visually, but underneath they do share quite a lot of the components, and probably the engine, I guess, as well. Unusual to see one of these here. It's a Belgian registered Mini Innocenti, so built under license from British Leyland, and British Leyland did, I think, own Innocenti for a period of time, and I think some of the components are different. I remember a previous owner telling me they're not quite as interchangeable with the normal Minis you'd expect. So back in the 60s there were huge numbers of small car companies producing vehicles based on Ford and BMC mechanicals. Some of them sold as complete cars, some as kits. A couple of examples here are the Turner, based on BMC mechanicals. I guess the claim to fame that Turner has is that there was a licensing deal with Petula Clark, who had I think a pink one of these, in return for promoting the brand. A bit further down, next to the Turners, we can see a couple of Fairthorpes. Again, low volume cars, you simply wouldn't get them these days. Legislation and crash protection, but rich history of small little car companies producing vehicles either finished at home to avoid purchase tax or just something that's a little bit different. So that's the Fairthorpe. This one's a lovely one as well, the blue one. That really stands out with a very sensible tonneau cover on a changeable day like today. Great to see these here. Originally built really as a bit of a spat between Ferrari and Ford. Ford had wanted to buy Ferrari and its offer was actually subsequently rebuffed. So they decided to go to Le Mans and to try and win it, and I think there's a famous film about that one, I can't remember it at the moment. But this is the result. It's the GT40, so called because it's 40 inches from the ground. An incredible racing car, not so many original ones, many later reproduction vehicles, difficult to say which. That might be an original, I don't know, we'd have to check with the owner. There we've got one in incredible Gulf colours, so it's quite busy here today. We've almost got every livery here. Maybe an original, that's a 66, isn't it? Fabulous cars, great racing pedigree. Really took the fight to Ferrari, and great to see the GT40 Owners Club so well represented here at Silverstone today. So this is the Ultima, and I guess with this one, these fabulous low volume sports cars, its claim to fame is it was used as the development mule for the McLaren F1. So McLaren used these with McLaren F1 running gear to develop the car under a less auspicious body shell. Fantastic. So quite a popular event for the Corvette Owners Club. Early to late, Stingrays in there and some of the later C3s as well, I believe. That's quite a turnout. Interesting wheels on that one. Often thought of as a commercial disaster. In fact, it was the opposite. The TR7 was the most successful TR derivative ever. In fact, there was a waiting list in the US for the vehicle at launch. This is the later convertible that came out. The hardtop came first, but in actual fact the Harrisman designed TR7 is actually quite an iconic car, and I love it in that colour. And as I say, much maligned but unfairly, and I think hold the record of being built in 3 different BL plants. So this is a company that actually took over Triumph, and not the other way around as many people believe. It's standard, and this is the standard Vanguard model, which was their big selling model back in, I think, the late 50s, early 60s. This is unusual in that it's an estate version. Now, I've seen these before, and the RAF actually bought an awful lot of these to ferry round Brommer crews around the UK from base to base. This one's in stunning order, isn't it? Look at that. I think it's got the split tailgate. That's quite handy, isn't it? Oh, that's I could go for that. That's certainly a great looking classic, isn't it? Another example of a low volume kit sort of based vehicle based on a Triumph Spitfire is this Vincent Hurricane. Yes, you heard me right, it's a Vincent Hurricane. Now, you didn't know that, and neither did I till I read the card, to be honest with you, but yeah, one of the many examples of low volume manufacture in the UK that will manufacture in either volume mechanicals or volume cars, in this case the Spitfire. So although it might look a bit cross-eyed, it's quite a special car actually. This is a Morgan Aero Supersport Targa, I think from 2011. The customer went to an auction to buy a watch and he came away with this. Now the interesting fact is this car was disposed of, and it's an ex-proceeds of crime sale, so I'm not quite sure who was driving this. It's a bit too late for Ronnie Biggs, but it's a lovely car, and as I say, extremely rare. That said, I think there's a couple of them here today. They've got the 4.8 litre or 4.6 litre BMW engine that Morgan were using at that time. Completely different concept to the normal car. Well turned out Morgans, all members of the Morgan Owners Club. I'm not going to go through each one of those plus twos or whatever. They've a series of Morgans powered by different engines over the years. Ford engines, BMW engines, I think maybe even BL engines at the time, but some great looking cars here. You can see at one time why this company had a waiting list, I think of about 7 years. So looking at this Morgan Aero 8 Series 3, I've just worked out those front lights. What are they from? I think they're from an R53 Mini. What do you think? This one's got the slightly different rear styling because this one's not the Targa, it's the full convertible, but it's got some sort of built-in spoiler going on there as well by the look of it, and it's for sale. Well, if that floats your boat, that might be the one for you. So the Phoenix 4 consortium who bought MG Rover they thought an ace up their sleeves, so they bought rights to the Cavalli Mangusta and developed this MG SV with, I think, a 4.6 litre Mustang engine. I think that engine saw service also in the MG ZT at a later stage, built in very, very limited numbers. I've rarely seen these cars in the flesh. We're talking, I think, low hundreds here. Didn't struggle to sell, high price point for the car, but that makes them pretty rare cars these days. What a special one. So built under GM ownership and therefore using the GM family company Isuzu relationship is the M100 Elan, shifted from rear wheel drive to front wheel drive in this format. Very controversial, really not really respected in the way it should be. I did drive one of these in period and they really do handle as if they're on rails. Maybe they'll get the respect they deserve one day, but for me, that is one hell of a driver's car. So back in the day, Nissan had a bit of blood to the head and they decided to build 3 cars from the platform of the K10 Micra. One of them was this Figaro Coupe. They built the Peo and also the Escargot. Yes, you heard that one right. These have all been imported from Japan, never ever officially sold here at all. Johnny Smith, I think, had one. They do suffer, unfortunately, with a terminal rot. We've got every colour, they're well represented here. I do like the green ones, but and there's a red one at the end. Pure micro mechanicals underneath them, not the quickest thing, but certainly they have a style all their own. And what a brave move by Nissan to build these. I think they built them at the so-called Pike plant in Japan. Fabulous to see them here today, isn't it? Great looking cars. Product of a relationship between Jem Marsh and Frank Costin, the Marcos. These cars saw various engines, Volvo engines, Ford engines, even Rover engines. There's an early one there. Fabulous. You can see how the styles changed over the years to this one with the wider arches here. And I think if we look round the back, this one has got a pair of familiar tail lights. Where did they come from? They came from a Mondeo. Oh, interesting. So here's the real deal. It's a Mini Marcos. This engine, I think it's a 1310cc A-series base mini engine. Owners uprated it to things. It's got central locking, it's got electric windows, doubled in stereo apparently, all set up for 2023. And what a fabulous looking car that is. That is, for me, is one of the cars I would love to take home with me today. Incredible lightweight, probably actually quite quick as well. So these Series 1 MR2 midship runabout 2s are getting relatively rare. Love this one. Looks like an official UK car in that fabulous two-tone. It looks like sort of charcoal over gold. That's an early car, and then next to it we've got a later car. You can see how the style changes on the front bumper. It's handy to have these next to each other. This one's a supercharged one. I suspect this one's come from Japan. I'm not sure that we got the supercharged one over here. You can see some differences also in the rear styling as well. We got the chance to compare 2 cars together, which is quite good. Well, both of them incredibly desirable little cars, probably outright not that fast in today's world, but quite honestly very desirable still. For Ford fans, a Mark 1 RS Focus. A few years ago these weren't particularly expensive. They're rare cars now. The only colour I believe ever built was this Imperial Blue, packing 200 brake horsepower, I think a 2-litre engine. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but incredibly desirable. The Focus already had a great chassis to start with. Just uprating it to this RS version made it incredibly quick. These are pretty thin on the ground these days. VW Corrado, based on a Golf chassis. I think not the direct replacement for, but followed on from the Sirocco, sold in 16 valve G60 with the supercharger, and like this version here, this is the VR6, which is an engine that the Golf also saw as well. Great cars. I'm not sure if this is a Storm model. Storm was the run-out model, special model they ran at the end. I think Volkswizard has got one of these on his channel, but quite a handling benchmark at the time apparently. Now I struggle with this one. It's a Lamborghini Urama. They only built 327 of these in total, named after a district that is famous for bullfighting apparently. Well, that sort of Lamborghini engine's well packed in there, isn't it? What a lovely colour. This one's affectionately known as Kermit. That's no surprise, is it really? Looking at the colour, what a fabulous colour. I'm sold on the colour. I think it was designed by Marcello Gandini of Bertone Design apparently. So GM wanted to add a bit of sparkle to the Vauxhall range, so they turned to Lotus, and Lotus donated the chassis of the Elise, I think Series 1, maybe Series 2, I'm not sure about that, I need to check. And they came up with the VX220 and the VX220 Turbo, also sold as an Opel as well. You can see that it shares the roots with the Lotus from many angles. Quite angular style. It doesn't have the value of a Lotus or anything like it yet, but they're probably going to get there, I suspect. I think that could be tipped for the top. Quite quick cars, great handling cars, and the ones here today are in fantastic order. So these are not the Tiger variants of the Alpine built by the Roots Group. They're sports car in the, I think, late 50s, early 60s, but nevertheless, I think they're both fitted with the 1725cc engine. The one that's in the background now is the blue one, and that's a Series 3 car. For me, they always have standout style, and particularly if you look at the fins at the back, they've got that certainly American influence. One of these met a grisly end. For those of you who watch the movie Get Carter, one of these is pushed over the quayside somewhere in the northeast, but these ones look remarkable, don't they? So this is a De Tomaso Deauville. Now, I'd only ever seen one of these in a TV program in an old episode of Shoestring. Kids, ask your parents about that one. It's got hints of XJ Jaguar. It's got an absolutely beautiful interior. We'll try and take a look around the other side of that. So, looking like a 70s furniture shop inside. Very high quality, fantastic leather interior. Lovely, lovely dashboard. We'll try and get some shots of the front. It's having a bit of work on it at the moment, but the owner's just doing a bit of fettling. So another De Tomaso Pantera as well. We'll try and have a look around this one. Lovely colour scheme with blue and black over those gold wheels. Looks like a fabulous interior, doesn't it? Looks like a comfortable place to be. Right hand drive car as well. Manual gearbox. Look at that open gated manual gearbox, and the bit you're all waiting to see is the engine. Now this, it's about half the car. It's about half the length of the car. The engine's taking up, the engine with the, looks like the gearbox behind. What an incredible beast of a car that one is, isn't it? So built in Washington, Tyne and Wear by a group of ex-Lotus engineers, is a Clan Crusader, as many people tell you, far more than kit cars. I think the company was resurrected for a period. The main point to note is it's based on the Imp and uses the same layout as the Imp, i.e. it is rear-engined. So great to see one of those here today, and there's not that many of those around. So this is the Roots Group Sunbeam version of the Imp. This is a sport. Let's have a look where all the action takes place at the back. Got a lovely set of mini lights on there, hasn't it? Yeah, and that's the action. I think that's the Coventry Climax based, or originally fire pump based engine. Absolutely lovely condition, that one, isn't it? What a beauty. Built in Wales and using the Imp engine again is this Davrian, officially called the Davrian Imp. It's a component car. I'm not sure it's a kit car, but component car is probably the better way of putting it. This is from 1971-72, built in small numbers by David Clark and Adrian Evans. Really unusual to see these. I think I remember the Davrian Dragon, but this particular one, I have no recollection of ever seeing one of these before. Quite a stylish little car, got hints of Frog Eye Sprite at the front. Not sure about the back, but even those flying buttresses a la XJS. One of the highest points Honda's ever had in terms of sports car is the original generation Honda NSX, developed with the help of Ayrton Senna, who was a Honda engine driver at McLaren. That's an early car we've passed, but that's a later car when the pop-up lights had pretty much been retired due to safety legislation, I think mainly in the US. What a fabulous car. The manual is the more desirable, but there are a few automatic versions as well. But in any format, they are pretty special looking cars. You know, as usable as a Honda Civic, but with the performance of a Ferrari. They really hit the nail with these, didn't they? So this is a beauty, isn't it? I'm not sure I'm a massive fan of American cars, but this one's caught my eye. It's a Chevrolet Bel Air. Now, what an incredible car in a single tone paint for a change, but look at some of those features. You wouldn't get that on a car today with pedestrian safety, would you? You know, this is ornate. I mean, look at the bumper bars on it. The bumper bars alone with those sort of torpedoes on the end. We'll try and take a look round the back of the car. I mean, this is probably 50s American cars. We're at the peak here. We've got those massive fins that influenced a lot of European cars, or certainly UK cars at the time, Vauxhalls and so on. What an incredible and impressive looking vehicle it is, isn't it? So the Jarrett Club is the world's apparently oldest one-make club, running from 1923 they were launched to 2023. This is the Jupiter. I think there was something like only about 900 or 1,000 of these built. I'll correct that if I'm wrong. Jarrett went out of business a little bit later on when their body supplier, Briggs Motor Bodies of Doncaster, was taken over by Ford to respond to an increase in sales volumes resulting from a change in purchase tax, a reduction in purchase tax, and literally took their ability to produce bodies away. That and some issues with gearboxes that they persisted in making their own. But didn't they make some great cars? Their factory in Bradford, or the site, is now sadly a Morrison's supermarket and has been for many years. This particular one, you've got a really good view of that sort of clamshell type arrangement for the bonnet. I didn't realise that. It's the first time I've seen one of these naked, so to speak. But what an impressive looking car the Jupiter is. It's a beauty, isn't it? So thanks again for joining me at the Silverstone Festival 2023. Hope you've enjoyed the show and the cars we've seen. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications to be notified of my latest video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.